All right, so we're going to talk about what is slope and how do you calculate slope. So hopefully most of you remember that slope is rise over run. So if I have a line that goes from here to here, my slope is that I rise 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I run 2. You have to be careful with your direction because if my line is going downward like this, then if I start here, my rise is negative because I'm going down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5 over 3. So this slope is a positive 3 over 2. This slope is negative 5 over 3. It doesn't matter where you put the negative sign. You could say negative 5 over 3, or you can say negative 5 over 3, or you could say 5 over negative 3. It's all the same thing, as long as there's one negative sign in your fraction. Sometimes you don't have a graph that you can count easily on, though. So if that's the case, then you need to calculate it. So your formula for calculating slope when you can't count it is the change in y. So your y coordinates subtracted from each other. It doesn't really matter which one you call coordinate 1 and which you call coordinate 2. But I think it's more common for people to write the formula as y2 minus y1. When you set up your fraction, make sure you have y coordinates on top, x coordinates on bottom, because rise is the change in y. It's how you're counting up. So you're counting between the y coordinates. It's how far apart the y coordinates are. And then your denominator is the run. So that's how far apart the x coordinates are. Make sure that whichever coordinate you start with, the same coordinate is your starting coordinate, that you didn't just flip them around backwards. So for this, let's say this one was, let's put the origin here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this coordinate is 6, 0, because it's sitting on the x-axis. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. So we can use our formula to calculate the slope just like we counted it out. So my y coordinates are the 0 and the 3. And then my x coordinates are the 6 and the 4. I put the 0 first, so that means I have to put the 6 first. So you double, this is negative. These are both negative. So I'm double checking. I've got coordinate -6, 0 is my first, -6, 0. Oops. And then I've got coordinate -4, 3, second. And then I'm subtracting that coordinate. So the signs end up getting flipped. This was a +3, so I'm subtracting 3. This was a -4. When you subtract a negative number, it's going to turn into plus. But when you add to a negative number, -6 plus 4 is really the same thing as 4 minus 6. So if you type that into your calculator, do not mess yourself up making silly mistakes trying to add and subtract in your head when a calculator can do it for you. You don't wanna mess up your portfolio just because you forgot about a sign. So use your calculators. You have calculators built into your Chromebooks. So that's -3 over -6 plus 4 is -2. And then when you have 2 negative signs, then they can cancel out when you simplify and it becomes +3 over 2. Obviously, it's easier to count it out when it's small numbers on a graph like this. But if you had an example where it was like, coordinate 426, -682, you're not going to count out those coordinates. You're going to have to be able to use the formula.